Hey folks, my name is Jen, and today I come to you with another reading wrap-up, because today we're going to talk about what I read in the month of June. So over June I ended up reading 8 books to completion. I made further progress in 1 book, and I started 3 books. So firstly, I made some more progress in Notes of a Native Son by James Baldwin. I was hoping to have this finished this month, but I did not manage to actually do that, because I had a series that had me kind of in a chokehold in June, but I did make some more progress in that. I'm hoping to finish it sometime this month. It's just a little slow going, just because I read a bit, I get really frustrated, I end up ranting a little bit about it, and then I start reading it again, and it's really good. Like, it's very thought-provoking, it's very well written, and I am really liking it. It's frustrating in a way to see some of the same things written that we're still dealing with. That's all. That's just that. So it's just a little slow going in that regard, but still making progress in that. I did also start reading Time After Time by Mickey Daughtry. I don't know if I talked about this. I feel like I haven't done a book haul recently, just because I've gotten books, but they've just kind of like appeared. Appeared sounds weird. I had pre-ordered this, and I had forgotten that I had pre-ordered this, because this is one of the books that I was really excited about that was coming out this year. So yeah, I'd forgotten that I'd pre-ordered it, and then it showed up in the mail, and I was like, oh sweet. And then some of the other books that I got this year fairly recently are all part of a series, and I will talk about those, because that's what I read in June. But this is a book about, it's taking place in 2 different timelines. The first timeline being in like the 1920s, between a woman and her maid that she is in love, a young woman and her maid that she is in love with, and the other timeline is taking place present day, about a girl who, she doesn't really know what she wants to do with her life, but she's always felt connected to this like old Victorian house, and she ends up using the money that she was left by her grandmother. She's supposed to be using it for school. She ends up using it to buy this house and start renovating it, and she ends up becoming friends with this girl who's at her school who is really good working with her hands and knows like carpentry and stuff, and she ends up also feeling drawn to the place and kind of helping her fix it up. And like, this of course is like crack to me, like this kind of like storyline, the idea of taking an old house that used to be beautiful and trying to help it come back and restoring it to its former glory and stuff like that, and loving a place so much you care to like take that time to do it. I love that kind of like house, it's not really house flipping, house renovation kind of subgenre. That's something I really like sometimes in stories. And just the love story, the star-crossed sort of love story between 2 timelines. Like, I find that timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly possible reincarnation stuff that I also find fascinating. I will say I haven't made that much progress in it, just because it's not so much the writing. Like, I am enjoying the writing and I'm enjoying the story. It's just the characters are supposed to be in college, and the way they are acting so far has been very, I don't know, their maturity level feels more like junior high kids than like freshmen, sophomores in college. It's just, you know, it feels like it's younger than it should be, and I guess that's just throwing me off a little bit, but still reading that. Then I also ended up starting to read The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I did not get that far into this either because my anxiety started going off the fucking rails. So I ended up having to take a break because I felt like I was losing my mind. So I feel like I'm I'm gonna try to shoot to be done with this over the summer, but I feel like it's gonna be pretty slow going through this. This is one of the banned books I wanted to read this year. I'm very far behind in that challenge because, guys, I have not been well mentally, emotionally this year, and on coming off of last year has been just real fucking tough. And I know that sounds really bad because there's so many people who have it way worse. But it's just, it's been hard. It's been a struggle. So I have not been able to handle storylines, I guess, that are equally as upsetting as the world is right now. So yeah, but I am going to try to push through because it's really important to do this challenge. It's really important to read these books. So I'm going to try to do it. What I might do is I might try to focus more on jumping back into Lady Chatterley's Lover and see if I can handle Fahrenheit 451, even though when I read that for the first time in 8th grade, it gave me anxiety then, and God only knows what it's going to do now. But I will try to push through that again, and I will try to push through Lolita probably, and then in between there, I'm going to space out the more upsetting of the books and try to get through them as well over the next several months. So hopefully I'll be hearing my thoughts about them soon-ish, but yeah, that was the other book that I'd started in June. And then, because everything felt terrible and hopeless and awful, I could not stop thinking about needing something that would make me feel just a little bit better. So I decided to start doing a reread of Lord of the Rings. So, yep, I started Fellowship of the Ring again. We have just come upon my first book husband, Aragorn. So, happiness is restored briefly within these pages. But yeah, so I'm partway through reread of Fellowship of the Ring. This I might be in for a little bit too-ish. This is currently my lunchtime read. So that's that for books that I started reading in June, and now we can talk about the 8 books that I actually read over the course of a month. The books that I ended up reading, 8 books in the Lady Hardcastle mystery series by T.E. Kinsey. So these are a historical fiction mystery series set in the early 1900s, following Lady Emily Hardcastle, who's a very eccentric woman, and her best friend, lady's maid and compatriot, Florence Armstrong. The stories are all told from Flo's point of view, and it's very witty and funny, and both of them are very eccentric characters. Emily, Lady Hardcastle, she ended up being educated because she insisted upon education. She didn't think that was very fair that her brother would only get that education, and so she ended up going to school too for sciences, and along the way she ended up meeting another eccentric man and marrying him. He got knighted, which is how she became a lady, and he was an foreign ambassador. And while they were overseas, she had since recruited her lady's maid, Flo, and while they were overseas, her husband was murdered, and they ended up having to escape across China for a couple of years, trying to make their way back to England, and across that way they became more than servant and lady. They became best friends. They relied on each other heavily, and they learned varying skills. They're very much able to take care of themselves. Flo ended up learning some martial arts, and she is a full-blown bodyguard and really awesome. Flo also had a very interesting childhood. She actually grew up in the circus with her family because her parents were all part of that, and Flo was also, and her siblings were also kind of part of the circus as well. They ended up moving back to Wales at some point, and she went into service and eventually made her way to working with Lady Hardcastle. They have a very unique relationship. They constantly banter with each other. Like I said, everything is told from Flo's point of view. It's really funny, and I guess it's one of those situations where some of the ideals of theirs are different than they would be of the day. I know that tends to be a problem for a lot of people when they're reading historical pieces, like, oh, well, people wouldn't be so forward thinking. But I think that in the case of these two people, in their upbringings, their life experiences, their own sheer, stubborn, headstrong obstinateness, I think all of those add up to being a fairly good explanation why they might be a little more eccentric, quirky, open-minded individuals than normally would be of ladies and servants for the time being. They do come up across adversity here and there. I will say for the most part they are regularly accepted within certain societies and like different things more than you would expect for that time. I'm also looking at this from the point of view of an American and knowing what just from media and historical things that I've read of the time, what we were kind of like, very stuck in our societal ways at the time. And honestly, I know way more about Victorian England than I do about Edwardian England, and I do know that Victorian England was way more stuck up, but I honestly don't know anything about Edwardian England or what that was like. My look at that is pretty much, I don't know, the one episode I've seen of Downton Abbey so far, and I don't know, Mary Poppins counts, right? Because Mrs. Banks was all votes for women. She had that whole song. It's really great. I don't know. Something like that, right? So I really don't know how people would act. I don't know if it's not believable or more believable because I honestly don't know. I will say that that is one thing about the writing that I think people might have some kind of issue with, is how readily accepted their personalities and situations and things are amongst people. But they do run into adversity, and they do run up against people who think just because Flo is a servant, she should shut up. Just because they are both women, they should just need to go be frail ladies and not be solving mysteries or getting involved in anything, you know. But it's not really something that an issue that they come up against that much, really. Because people do tend to not take them as face value, but trust in them a lot of the times, which honestly is refreshing to read. Yeah, anyway, so this whole series, like I said, it's a mystery series. Now, these two, you get more of an explanation of their background over the course of time, but they have been involved in spying and hijinks and all kinds of things over the years that they have been together. And they have been together, let me see, at the start of everything, I think it's been like 12, 14 years or something like that. Really, it's daylight. Don't let off fireworks now. Anyway, Flo was only 17 when she went into service for the Hardcastles, so she's a bit young to be a lady's maid, I guess, but rose to the challenge, and she's, you know, they have a very good, like I said, friend relationship with each other. That's their banter back and forth is one of the best things about this series, to be completely honest. And Flo's commentary also, because it's told from her point of view. So it's also pretty funny a lot of the times too. Anyway, so they've gone through all of this. So the first book is is A Quiet Life in the Country, which I did read last December. I listened to an audiobook of it. But this is, they have moved to the country. They have moved to the small town called Littleton Cotterell, and they have taken up this big old house there and decided that this is the place they are going to be. Basically, this is their new chance at having a quiet life in the country, at kind of retiring from all of their shenanigans and all the dangerous stuff they used to do, and they can start over and just enjoy their activities. Flo loves to read. She loves learning things. They love hanging out with each other, taking care of each other, getting involved in the community and stuff like that. And Lady Hardcastle is, she has lots of things that she's interested in. She's interested in science, she's really into motion pictures. Cinematography is really new at this time. I think it was actually called kinematography. They used to spell it with a K, so I'm guessing it was kinematography instead of cinematography back then. I don't know. But she's really interested in that, especially stop motion videos that she makes, which is really cool. So they have their little interests and their little activities and things that they do. And so they're ready to do all of that, but their first couple of days there, they go for a walk to explore the area and come across a man who appears to have committed suicide in a clearing in the woods. But when they try to summon the police, they soon realize that there's something about this scene doesn't seem right, and it looks like he was actually murdered and it was staged like a suicide. And the detectives are kind of bumbling, and they kind of offer their services a little bit, and things go from there. That's the first mystery, them solving as what happened. It's involving an intro to the town, the quirky town characters, and you're also getting a look at some friends. There's a old manor house nearby, and Lady Hardcastle realizes, hey, these are people that knew my parents. So she gets some fast friends, and yeah, it's just an introduction to the town, an introduction to the area, an intro to them, and them getting servants, and like that, everything, just kind of like, and a look at this little town and the cricket team, which is pretty big. And then the second book is In the Market for Murder, and they have been there several months. This is taking place the following year in the spring, and they have gone into the town nearby for market day, which is like really huge. And while they are there, a man falls dead into his stew. So they end up getting pulled into that mystery as well. Over the course of these, they've also become friends with a Bristol CID detective called Inspector Sunderland, who is, honestly, I love Oliver Sunderland. He is awesome. But yeah, Death Around the Bend. This is in the fall of 1909. They end up going to Lady Hardcastle's brother's best friend's manor or estate for a while, because he's like a lord, I believe. Yeah, Lord Riddlethorpe. He has a country estate, and he has basically recently gotten into racing motor cars. So this involves like one of the drivers ends up dying suddenly in a wreck, and they try to get to the bottom of that. Then you have the fourth book, A Picture of Murder, which is taking place in October of 1909, and this is one that I had read before as well, because I listened to an audiobook of it in December and loved it. And this is basically, there's a moving picture company that has come to town to show this movie called The Witch's Downfall to mark Halloween or Samhain, and there's a lot of people, there's a whole group of people, like super zealous religious people who call the film demonic, and it's like this whole thing. And then you also have the mystery of actors dying over the course of this, and of course, Lady Hardcastle and Flo are going to try to solve that mystery and figure out what is going on with, you know, the local actors dying. And then we have, next book is The Burning Issue of the Day, and this is taking place in 1910. Yeah, January 1910, a journalist suddenly dies, and the local suffragette is being blamed for this horrific murder and arson. So Lady Hardcastle and Flo have been asked by the local women's suffragette group to look into it and see whether or not their friend has indeed caused this, or what the heck is going on. And they kind of get involved with that movement and also head off against the anti-suffragette movement. Really fascinating look at that point of history too, because like I said, at my experience with that, with the English version, like I know more about the American suffragette movement than the English one. My experience with that is, again, Mrs. Banks from Mary Poppins. So yeah, really fascinating to look at. Death Beside the Seaside was fascinating. This is taking place in July 1910, and this sees Lady Hardcastle and Flo away up by the seaside for vacation. They just want to have fun, but they end up getting pulled into a mystery of intrigue because people at the resort keep dropping and dead. Next up was The Fatal Flying Affair, and this is when is this? A full year later, pretty much. It's August 1911, and Lady Hardcastle and Flo have again been kind of pulled into a mystery. They have been asked to check out what is going on with a local aeronautics company because one of their test guys for a new parachute has suddenly died as a freak accident, but some people don't think it is an accident, so they have been asked to look into it and kind of check out this whole thing, which is also fascinating. And then book 8 in summer 1911, late summer 1911, is Rotten to the Core, and this involves, again, someone dropping dead, but he's a member of a local group that it's hard to explain, but basically they're a very interesting ancient group of guardians of the orchard kind of thing going on, and someone has dropped dead, so they kind of get pulled into that mystery as well to figure out what is going on there. There's harvest stuff, there's secret rituals, there's a lot of interesting things happening. This has all been really interesting. Like, I don't know if I have a favorite of these so far. I guess maybe I'd say A Picture of Murder might be my favorite, but I also really like Death Around the Bend, and Rotten to the Core was really good. I have liked all of these mysteries. I will say, again, things that I didn't particularly enjoy might be they spend a lot of time with a lot of background information, or just kind of like, well, then I went here and prepared the supper, well, then we went home and played ragtime, well, then we did blah, blah, blah. And it's like a lot of different stuff that I'm sure would really irritate people who just want the mystery, I imagine. But this series is technically classified as a cozy mystery series, and to be completely honest, I have never really been much of a cozy mystery kind of girl, unless it's leaning more towards, I guess if we're counting Agatha Christie as cozy mysteries, but I mean like the other cozy, like I've tried them, like Marita Mae Brown with her cat that solves the mysteries, or the quilting, the Scottish quilting people, or the chess obsessed people, or the bakers. There's like so many series of people who own bakeries and they include recipes in with the things, and I'd never have a good time with those because I always find the mystery to either be too simplistic, or I just get really irritated by the characters. So I can totally understand why someone might not be interested in these mysteries, because I do have to say, if the writing weren't so fun, and if the characters weren't so weird and interesting, I probably wouldn't like this series. I can see some flaws in there, in that sometimes the mysteries are a little bit like, what the fuck? How do we get to this? Or, there's clues, but you're kind of coming up on the clues with the characters. You're not really... It's not one of those series, I think, that... I guess it does kind of have some fair play, but I don't think it's one of those series that you read and then you try to solve it as you go along and you get really fucking excited, like with an Agatha Christie, for example, or something, and if I solve it before the characters or with the characters, then I feel gratified about it. That's not what this series is about. This series is just fun. It's just straight up entertainment, and I'm just here along for the ride, and I've had guesses as to what is going on, but I haven't really been angry or excited either way at being right or wrong, because I'm just in it for the characters. Like, I love the mystery elements of it. I love the social commentary and the finding of the solutions and everything. I really enjoy that, but honestly, I'm here to watch Flo kick the ass of some jackass. Like, I'm here for Lady Hardcastle and her to banter back and forth with each other. I'm here for Lady Hardcastle to be so infuriating that she pushes some bigoted, stuck-up piece of shit into being even more angry because she's just being insufferable and enjoying pushing him to be even more angry and an asshole. I'm here for them being absolutely hilarious and getting the job done eventually. Like, I'm enjoying the journey. I really like it a lot. And I will say something that I really like too is the author, it's not like in the first couple of books, I think, but in the rest he started including an author's note, and it's got like background information about stuff that he used or researched for the stories. He'll clarify, he'll be like, well, this particular aeronautics company did not exist, but such and such things did exist. Or he'll kind of give like background and talk about different stuff like that, which I find really interesting and fascinating, and more things that I can check out. And I like that a lot of the things, because I have over the past few months gotten more and more interested in learning more about like Victorian England, even though this is a little later, this is Edwardian. The Victorian era, I have been listening to more podcasts and reading more about it because it's an interest of mine right now. It's been fun to read certain things and then just be like, oh my gosh, I know what that is, or I heard something about that previously, or, you know, looking at all of that. So I'm finding that to be really enjoyable as well, to pick up on certain things, because sometimes in books you'll read stuff and it'll go over your head, but in these it's been really fun to see something mentioned or see a person mentioned and know exactly what they're talking about, what the reference is, because I'm like, oh shit, I know what that is because I heard a podcast episode about it. Or it's just been really enjoyable if you're someone who likes historical fiction, or likes learning about different parts of history in general. That's like just really kind of fun. Is it probably the best mystery series I've ever read? Probably not, but that doesn't take away from the fact that I am enjoying it immensely, and it is really keeping me sane currently. And I can't wait to see where this series goes. Like I said, I am on book 9 right now, an active foul play where they're involved with theater. So cool. And then there's books 10, 11, and 12. 12 just came out this year. So I've got 3 more of the series to read, and then I have to wait like everybody else, I guess, for whatever comes next after that. But I am really loving this, like 100%. I find this funny and entertaining and really interesting, and it's given me lots of little bits of history that I've wanted to look up and gotten me excited about different things. So yeah, I'm finding it to be just a lot of fun. So I hope that if any of this sounds interesting to you, you do check them out, because they are really entertaining. All of those books, 5s across the board, 100%. So yeah, this is everything that I read over the course of June. One series, basically, but still a lot of fun. I hope that you guys had a great June. I hope you're having a good start to July, and thank you for watching. Thank you for always watching, and I will see you next time.